What if I told you this entire collection cost just $14 to make, using mostly Dollar Tree supplies and a few thrifted pieces? We'll be transforming them into over $500 worth of decor inspired by Pottery Barn, McGee Co, and Lulu Georgia. Along the way, I'll share the design details that make these pieces work, so you'll start spotting great DIY potential everywhere you shop. If we haven't met yet, I'm Sandy, and I love turning Dollar Tree and thrifted finds into beautiful, budget-friendly decor while sharing lots of ideas along the way. Now grab your coffee, get comfy, and let's dive in. Lately, I've been admiring these simple wooden cookbook holders from places like Lulu Georgia McGee Co. They have such a timeless look, but they can also come with a pretty hefty price tag. So when I spotted this one at Goodwill for $2.99 and it happened to be 25% off that day, I didn't even hesitate. What caught my attention wasn't the color, it was the shape and the quality of the wood. That's something I always pay attention to when I'm thrifting. Color is one of the easiest things to change, but a well-made piece with classic lines is much harder to find. If the shape is right, I never let the finish make the decision for me. Before changing the finish, the first thing I needed to do was give it a really good cleaning. This piece had been well loved over the years and there was quite a bit of grease built up on the surface. I sprayed it down with Dawn Power Wash. This isn't sponsored, I just use it all the time, and scrubbed everything away with the green side of my sponge, paying extra attention to the corners and grooves where the grease likes to settle. Since this is wood, I didn't want to soak it in water. After a light rinse to remove the soap, I placed it in the oven at 175 degrees for about 30 minutes, just to give it a head start on drying out. If you try this, just make sure your piece doesn't have any rubber feet, glue, or finishes that aren't heat safe. Once it was completely dry, I wanted to see if I could avoid sanding or stripping it all together. I tested my Waverly Dark Wax first, and to my surprise, it settled beautifully into the existing finish. Sometimes it's worth trying before reaching for the sandpaper. If the original finish is still in good condition, a wax can deepen the color while letting the wood grain continue to show through. After the dark wax, I applied a coat of natural wax over the top and let everything sit for about 20 minutes before buffing it with a cloth. The final buffing step is one I rarely skip on wood pieces. It gives the finish more depth, helps protect the surface, and makes the piece feel much more polished. Now, instead of a cookbook holder that looked dated, it has a rich wood tone I was hoping for, and it fits beautifully with the rest of my kitchen. For now, that's where mine will stay, but this is one of those versatile pieces that could easily work somewhere else too. I could see it holding a favorite book in a child's room, displaying a coffee table book on a shelf, or even holding a framed recipe in a pantry or coffee bar. For $2.24, this thrift store find gave me the designer-inspired look I was after, and finally replaced the metal cookbook holder that never wanted to cooperate. Speaking of seeing things differently, I almost brought home this wire basket too. If you've been with me for a while, you might remember I turned a basket into a pendant light with an inexpensive lighting kit from Amazon. But with this one, I left it behind because I just didn't have a place for it. Now I'm looking back at the footage, I'm kind of kicking myself. Sometimes it's hard to walk away when you can already picture what something could become. This next DIY, I'm creating a smaller version of a floating cubby I've been admiring from Pottery Barn. Theirs is 36 inches and sells for $329, but I wanted something smaller for my craft room that could give me that same clean, functional look without the designer price tag. So I decided to make mine using Dollar Tree craft wood, but there's another reason I wanted to try this project. I recently started seeing other creators using these mini table saws for smaller projects, and Holly from Hot Humble Pie was one of the first people I saw using one. After watching her work with it, I started thinking this might be a good way for me to get more comfortable with a table saw. I've always wanted to learn how to use one, but they've always felt a little intimidating. So when my partner surprised me with one for my birthday, I decided this would be the perfect first project to try. I've watched so many videos on how to use it, and I was excited, but also a bit nervous. These mini saws come with other tools attached. Mine has the saw and the sander, and some also include a Dremel. So one problem is that you can't run them independently. They both operate together. So for safety reasons, it's something to keep in mind. It does have several speed settings, so for my very first cut, I decided to start with the lowest speed. I also read for smaller projects like this, it's okay to use the saw indoors, which was helpful because this was a quick project and I didn't need to set up outside. For my first cut, I measured the sides at 4 inches. I always like to measure more than once, especially when I'm working with smaller pieces, because even a small difference can change the way everything lines up. Here goes my first cut. I have to say I was pleasantly surprised. It wasn't nearly as intimidating as I expected. I've used a jigsaw before, and for me that was actually a little more difficult to control. This was surprisingly quiet, and I really enjoyed using it. And just to give you an idea of the cleanup, this is the amount of sawdust from the cuts. It wasn't bad at all, and it only took me a few minutes to clean up. Once all of my pieces were cut, I did a dry fit first to make sure everything was lined up the way I wanted. Because I'm only using glue to attach the sides, I wanted the strongest connection possible. If I were using nails or screws, I would stain pieces before assembling. But since glue is my only attachment method, I wanted the wood surfaces clean and unfinished. I used Dollar Tree wood glue and applied it with a paintbrush so I could control exactly where it went. After everything was in place, I wiped away the excess glue and used a large book and a 10-pound kettlebell to keep everything secure while it dried. So while the glue was drying, I wanted to share this thrift find I picked up to go with the shelf. When I spotted this metal piece at the thrift store for $2.99, I had no idea what it was used for. I just liked the shape, the sturdy metal construction, and the fact that it looked like it could be useful. That's one of my favorite parts about thrifting. Sometimes you don't find something because you know exactly what it is. Sometimes you find something because you can already picture what it could become. And after bringing it home, I did a little research and discovered that this is actually a vintage 1970s banker box typist holder. And that was a mouthful, but once I knew what it was, it made perfect sense. Before styling it, I gave it a good cleaning to remove years of grime and get it ready for its new purpose. Now it's going to hold things that tend to float around my craft room. Notes, pictures, inspiration, a few tools that I like to keep within reach. And the timing was perfect too, because when I was at Dollar Tree the other day, I spotted these checkered magnets in their new school supply display, and they reminded me of Mackenzie-Childs. But a set of 3 Mackenzie-Child magnets can cost around $60. These were $1.25 for a package of 6. I wanted to customize a few of them with a little more personality, so I painted some wooden beads red because that pop of red is another detail you often see in Mackenzie-Childs' design. I also had this small hook left over from my Pottery Barn-inspired frame rail and attached everything with E6000. I decided to leave the 3 magnets as they were because I liked having a mix of simple and embellished pieces. And who knows, maybe later on I'll add more hooks or details. And now these inexpensive magnets have a little more function. Sometimes it's not about copying a designer item exactly. It's about noticing the elements that make it special and finding ways to bring those ideas into your own home. And while I was hanging the shelf, I realized something I hadn't planned. It also looks beautiful hung vertically. I could imagine a couple of these lined up on a wall or staggered, holding bud vases, small collections, or seasonal decor. That's one of the reasons I enjoy building simple pieces like this. You start with one idea, and before long, you've discovered 3 or 4 different ways to use it. I wanted to share another thrift store find that caught my attention, even though I didn't bring it home. When I spotted this wire mesh candle holder, what stood out to me wasn't necessarily what it was made for. It was the shape. When I turned this one upside down, it reminded me of a decorative cloche. I could picture it styled over a candle, a plant, or even a seasonal display. The bell shape also made me think of Christmas. Add some greenery around the top, or actually, it would be the bottom, and maybe a few berries and ornaments, and it would make such a pretty holiday decoration. I ended up leaving it behind because I don't have a place for it right now, but it's exactly the type of piece I look for when I'm thrifting. The original purpose doesn't always have to be the final purpose. This next DIY, I'm making a Pottery Barn-inspired flower candle using a Dollar Tree dessert dish. The second I saw the dish, it reminded me of their flower candle that runs about $17, which isn't bad, but I wanted to customize the color for a friend I'm gifting it to. So I grabbed the dish, headed to the candle aisle for 2 of Dollar Tree prayer candles. Once I got home, I started cleaning the glass with rubbing alcohol to remove any oils or residue. Then we'll be adding color to the inside bottom portion. It might not make sense yet, but once everything comes together, you'll see how this creates the finished look. For the paint, I'm using clear glue from Dollar Tree mixed with a few drops of green food coloring. You can customize this color with any color that works for your decor. And for small jobs like this, I like using a plastic shot glass from Dollar Tree. I actually keep them in my bathroom for mouthwash, but they're handy for craft projects too. Once mixed, I brush on a thin coat to the inside bottom of the glass. You want to keep the layer light because this mixture can run. As it dries, I gently roll the glass around to help distribute the color evenly. Once it stops dripping, I'll set it upright to finish drying. And while that's drying, I'm going to prepare the candle. I remove the plastic from the Dollar Tree candles and place the glass containers in a pot of water on medium heat to slowly melt the wax. You want the water to simmer. This does take some patience and it can take an hour or so. Once the wax was melted, I removed the original wicks and reused one for the new candle. I secured the new wick in the center of the dish with a dab of hot glue, then wrap it between bamboo skewers to help keep it centered while I poured the wax. Using oven mitts because everything is hot, I carefully poured the melted wax into the dish completely set. Once the wax hardened, I trimmed the wick and the candle was ready to enjoy. One caveat though, the colored portion of the glass will not have perfect coverage, but when it's placed on the surface, it's hardly noticeable. I love that this project gives you the look of Pottery Barn, but allows you to customize the colors for your own home, and because you're creating it yourself, you can make it work for any season or decorating style. While I was in the candle section at Dollar Tree, I spotted these new LED votives and I couldn't help but start playing with them in store. You could pair them with some of your favorite candle holders or even add a glass candle holder over the top to create a soft, glowing shade. You might remember when I thrifted a couple of crystal bowls and turned them into fairy lamps. This is the same idea, taking something simple and using it in a way that feels completely different. In fact, Pottery Barn has a similar look with their glass lamp candle holders. Of course, the designer version comes with a much higher price tag, but with a few Dollar Tree pieces, you can create the same warm, layered lighting effect. I think these would look beautiful lying down the center of a table, especially if you made several and customized the finish. Painting the black Dollar Tree tapered candle holders silver or gold would instantly give them a more elevated look. And to keep them steady, you could use a little space tape. And just like the fairy lamps, it's proof that you don't need a big budget to get that layered designer glow. After last week's video when I transformed a thrifted bowl to get that brass-inspired look from pieces I had seen at Magnolia, Ballard Designs, and Lulu Georgia, it got me wondering, could we create a similar look using something from Dollar Tree? So I looked around the kitchen aisle and I found these plastic bowls, which are still only $1.25, and I wanted to see if I could make them look like brass. The first thing I did was slightly scuff the surface so the paint would have something to grip onto. Then I gave them a coat of Zinsser primer. It was time for the fun part, creating that faux brass finish. To get the right color, I mixed metallic gold acrylic paint with a little raw sienna and burnt umber. The key to this technique is building up layers. Instead of brushing it on a solid coat of paint, I used paper towel to dab the color onto the surface. Each layer adds a little more depth and variation, which creates that look of aged brass without adding any actual texture. After my second and third coats, I switched to using a paintbrush, but still dabbing and I was getting close. On my fourth coat, I went a little too heavy with the brown tones. So I added another layer with a little more gold mixed in and brought it back to the warmer brass color I was looking for. I think it turned out surprisingly close to the thrifted bowl from last week, and I don't think anyone would guess that it started out with plastic bowls. This is such a great example of how understanding finishes can completely change the way you see inexpensive pieces. With the right color, layering, and technique, you can create something that feels much more high-end. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next Saturday.